Welcome to Community Forum. My name is John Guglieltino and I'm your host. This evening we're changing gears. We're going to be talking about a subject that's been around for a while, the Danbury Land Trust and the preservation of properties. Bill Montgomery is the president of the Danbury Land Trust, and with him this evening with me is Cheryl Rakowski. She's the secretary of the board. We have a very interesting program planned, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Could you tell us a little bit about yourselves first, starting with Bill, as how you came to this position? You might want to touch on your education and your family a little bit, and then we'll get into our other questions.
Okay, I worked for AT&T for 30 years in my first life.
Okay.
And had the opportunity to take an early retirement 20 years ago. Went up to Massachusetts for a year and got a master's degree in ecological land planning and landscape design, and came back and started doing some consulting on my own, but then started getting involved in land conservation. Decided this is really the niche that I love. This is really my passion. Family, my wife and I have been married for 26 years, and we have 6 children between us and 12 grandchildren.
Okay. Okay, and Cheryl?
I actually met Bill when I first moved to Danbury about 6 years ago. He was manning a booth at the Taste of Danbury. The Land Trust has a booth there every year, and I just started chatting with him. He had one of his maps up, and we were just talking about what the Land Trust does, and I got very excited about the concept. We were new to the area at the time, and I was just starting to explore some of the open spaces that were available, and we were getting a dog, so although I don't have children, I like to go hiking with my dog. And really,
well, you have dogs.
I have a dog, and taking advantage of that, so that's how I got involved with the Land Trust, just in a very sort of organic way. I don't have the kind of formal training that Bill has by any stretch. I'm a management consultant by day, so I don't really know as much as he does technically, but I do have a passion for the idea of conserving open space and for being able to bring it to people and have them utilize it and enjoy it the way I do.
She does a great job.
Thank you.
All right. Now, what is the Land Trust of Danbury? But people, I can give a synopsis, but I'm sure people want to hear it from you. And go ahead.
Okay. The Land Trust of Danbury is a private, nonprofit conservation organization. Our sole mission in life is permanently protecting the Danbury's natural areas and the quality of life. We are the only local conservation organization in the city, and so there's no one else that does what we do. Conservation of land. Conservation of land. Okay. Yeah.
Years ago, I was involved in preservation of buildings, but that organization is defunct, the Danbury Preservation Trust. So it's the same general idea, except for land.
Very similar technique.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And how do you fund yourself? Do you have United Way funding, or maybe you want to give some idea of how you operate?
Most of our funding has come from memberships, and you're a member, and we greatly appreciate it. And additional contributions, additional donations that members make. In recent years, we've gotten some very nice grants, and this past year, we had the first real fundraiser in our 38-year history, and Cheryl was very much involved in that, so maybe I'll let her tell a little bit about that.
Okay.
Well, we're an organization that's very grassroots. A lot of people who care about land preservation and conservation, but not a lot of experience doing fundraising. And we had the opportunity last year to hire an executive director who's really an expert in that area. And we went from an organization that never had a bake sale, never sold a raffle ticket, never did even the smallest bit of fundraising, to really having quite a successful gala that was had at Anthony's Lake House, We had over 100 people. I think it was 125 people came. It was a silent auction. We, in one evening, raised more money than we had through any other means other than through grant writing in our entire history. And so we're hoping to sort of build on that success and have more people come to more events and just continue to raise funds so that we can be very proactive in terms of acquiring land.
Okay. 125. So, what's your total membership approximately?
We have about 250 members.
Very good.
Individuals, families, and businesses, and we're always looking for more. Just in the past few weeks, we did our first citywide mailing of about 12,000 households. So we're eager to see what that brings.
Now we have a map here that we're going to go to in about a minute. But what area? Are there any particular areas you're protecting? In other words, certain lands have been deeded to the land trust. Is that basically the concept of it? That you've got certain tracts that have been deeded to you, or do you just control those areas in some way, and that is what the main function of the society is?
Well, there are many different ways of protecting land, but there are really three basic ones, John. The first is an outright donation of land, and any of these techniques usually has significant tax benefits associated with it. The second is a conservation easement, where the landowner agrees not to develop at least part of the property. In the meantime, they can continue to live on it, farm it, forest it, sell it, pass it on to heirs. But they convey a conservation easement that says no houses on this part of the property. And the third is a bargain sale, where let's say a property is worth $800,000 and they sell it to a land trust for $500,000. That $300,000 difference is usually a charitable income tax deduction.
Right. And we
or some kind of variation of that.
We currently have 2 pieces of eased property, and the rest have been donations to us.
Okay, now we're going to be getting to the map. Are we ready for the map yet? I got it. Okay, so let's go to the map.
Okay, this is a citywide map. And the red stars are properties that we own. That is, they've been an outright donation. And Cheryl mentioned 2 conservation easements up in the northwest corner, the West King Street
That's
area.
on the border of New Fairfield and New York State. There. Okay.
Technically, we could protect land anywhere in the country. The truth of the matter is that there are land trusts all around us. So somebody from Newtown calls us and we say we'd be very happy to help you, but there's a land trust in Newtown. Actually, the one conservation easement has 3 acres in New York State, and obviously the owner wanted to do it all in one transaction. So we talked with the Putnam Land Conservancy in New York that we know, and said this is what the owner wants to do. So virtually. So is that
a joint protectorship, or?
No, it was conveyed to us.
Oh, okay.
With their concurrence. So we currently permanently protect 19 properties, a total of 217 acres, and you can see that the biggest conglomeration of red stars is
down in this section near Reading and Richfield.
Yeah,
that's the star near the Richfield border. And
actually they're off Long Ridge Road,
right,
and Long Ridge Road and West Reading Road, and so there are 7 properties, so a little more than a third of our total, but 130 acres. So more than 60% of our acreage is down there. And
isn't that where the trail runs through, or in proximity?
The Ives Trail and Greenway is running through part of that area, and right now there's some alternative routes being planned that would include some of those areas. But what's really valuable for conservation are large corridors of open space. I mean, they're valuable for people because you can build trails, but they're also very necessary for wildlife. Wildlife depend on corridors of open space. So, you know, one 50-acre parcel is far, far more valuable than 10 5-acre parcels.
Okay. Let's see here. Now they got one little parcel right over here by the Brookfield. Was there any significance, or just that's the way it came up?
No. Again, that was an outright donation. It's off of North Nabby Road, and that was part of a development. And the developer offered to donate this to us. Offered to donate that property about, I guess, about 10 years ago. And we sometimes work with developers. To some conservationists, you know, developer or development is a,
well, sometimes when you're working with inland wetlands commissions, they'll say, well, you keep this as open space and you get your development. You know, so that sort of will foster some donations in order to have certain development. They need to donate certain property or take it out of their hands.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so our official position, it's on our website, is that we don't support development, we don't oppose development. And we may have personal feelings about it, but it's really not our job. Our job is to permanently protect natural areas. And sometimes we work with a developer that is a wonderful property that we can permanently protect. And a woman came after me one night at a meeting and said, you know, you're making a deal with the devil. And I said, well, if your only job in life was to permanently protect open space and you had the opportunity to permanently protect 20 to 30 wonderful acres, what would you do? And she said, well, I don't know. So we sometimes have very good relationships with developers and work out deals that I think certainly fulfill our mission.
Everybody's got a different mission, and this definitely helps you achieve
we have
your
one,
mission.
And it's very clear to us.
Conserve as much property as you can.
Precisely.
Because otherwise they'll always try to find a way of developing the whole thing. I've seen over the years, I was on the local Inland Wetlands Commission for 8 years.
I remember when you were.
Yeah, I've seen them come back and again, and it's interesting how they make headway, you know, from being denied at one point. I'm talking about developers. So you may as well save some of it, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Let's see here. So you're getting into... let's hold the phone here for 1 second and just say, is there a telephone number that they can call you if they're interested in either being a board member? Because I was going to talk a little bit about the board, but either being on the board, being a member. Is there a telephone number you can, and maybe you can also mention your website.
Okay. The telephone number is 203-744-2795. That's my telephone number.
Okay.
That's Land Trust World Headquarters.
Okay. And
our website is www.landtrustdanbury.org. And we hear from people all the time about various things. As a result of the citywide mailing that just went out recently, several calls and emails came in about that. Some people very interested in what we were doing and didn't really know much about us.
What do the various board people do? Is there anybody? I know you're the secretary. There's a president. Is there a vice president? Right. What do they do? Like when you did the fundraiser, did they work on the fundraiser? Maybe describe some of the things that they do.
We have 4 officers: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and currently we have 10 members on our board. And as Sharon as Cheryl mentioned, we now have a part-time executive director, Sharon Donosky, who has a lot of experience in fundraising and board building and grant writing, and she's been a great help to us. We also have 6 committees, and a board member chairs each one of those committees. And each board member serves on at least one committee. So currently, Cheryl is the co-chair of the Land Management Committee, and she has been for the past few years the chairman of our Community Relations Committee, too.
Right.
Okay. And could you tell us a little bit about your fundraising activities? I know you mentioned the gala. Are you thinking you're expanding, doing a little more expansive work, Cheryl?
We are actually. Not only do we continue to seek members and increase our revenue through membership at all levels, and anybody who's interested can go to the website and find out how to become a member. There's family memberships, individual memberships, corporate memberships. We would love to grow our corporate membership base. We are planning some more events. In fact, one of our eased properties, the gentleman who lives there has a lovely barn, and just the other day, in my capacity as co-chair of the Land Management Committee, we were walking the property. We have to do that every year. We walk each piece of property multiple times, but we are required to walk each piece of property at least once a year, and we were chatting with the owner. He has a wonderful barn on his property, and we were talking about maybe having a barn dance or something that would bring the community in and really connect them to the land while raising funds. So we will be doing all kinds of ongoing activities, but before, in the interim, before an activity comes up, if anybody wants to support us, our website tells people how to do that.
Okay, very good. So you're looking into other things, but you haven't come up with something definitive yet.
We haven't come up with anything
yet. But that would draw a few people.
I think
a barn
it would.
Dance.
I think it would, and we certainly will have another gala next year. And this one was so successful, particularly as a first-time event. We kind of have some people who are excited about it. The theme this year was denim and diamonds, and that people were very excited about it because it wasn't this sort of stiff and starched formal event. People came in cowboy hats and work boots and cowboy boots, and ladies dressed up in kind of fancy clothes, but then their escorts may have had something a little bit more casual on. So it was a fun event and got a lot of really good feedback from it. So I'm sure we'll be doing it again.
Sounds good. Any particular? What is your relationship with the city of Danbury, Bill?
We have a very good relationship with the city and have had for several years. And we work with them on a number of initiatives to protect important open space and manage important open space. For example, for the past 6 years, we've served on the Ives Trail and Greenway Task Force, and the monthly meeting is tomorrow morning. Another example is we partnered with them on the Lake Kenosha vegetative buffer, and we got the initial funding through a Meserve grant, and then we worked with them on a design plan and an installation of a buffer. And if you've never been out there, John, it's worthwhile taking a ride out there. It's on the south end. I'm sorry, the north end, and
I've been all over the lake because I live in that vicinity.
Where the beach is, and but the buffer is designed to serve as a filter for the pollutants and to be beautiful, which it certainly is, particularly in the summertime with all the wildflowers and the shrubs and the grasses, and also to discourage the geese from coming into the lake.
Which has always been a problem there.
Exactly, and as you probably know, geese like a landing strip for a body of water, and if they don't have a landing strip, they're discouraged from coming near. So, so we have good relationship with the mayor and the Common Council, and we're working on several initiatives with them right now.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. What would you like for our viewers to remember, Cheryl?
I'd love them to remember that we exist, that we are the only land conservation nonprofit organization in Danbury that's local and specifically focused on conserving land in Danbury, that even if they don't have a large piece of land or a small piece of land to conserve, there is a way to support the process, either by becoming a member or by volunteering time, or by telling people that we are around and going to our website and learning about the activities we have. In fact, if people are interested, we have our annual meeting coming up on Monday, February 8th at 5 p.m., also at Anthony's Lake House, and it's a very short business presentation, and then we're going to have a wonderful speaker named Dan Benna, who is the Director of Sustainability for Pepsi, and he's going to come on in and talk about how corporations do sustainability and how you can kind of transfer that to a local effort as well. So there's any number of ways people can get involved, and goodness knows if people have 50 acres that they're sitting on and they're not currently using it, we'd love to conserve it for them. But if what they can do is become a member, an individual member, we'd love that too.
Maybe at this juncture, let's mention the telephone number and the website again.
The telephone number is 203-744-2795, and the website is www.landtrustdanbury.org.
And let's run over what an owner needs to do, or what possible ways one more time for those that were asleep or getting something, and maybe you can I can ask a follow-up question, because I think I might have dozed off before myself.
The three primary ways of conserving land are outright donation, conservation easement, where the owner still owns the land but agrees to limit the use, and a bargain sale, where the land is sold at a reduced price. And all of these generally have significant tax benefits. Why would an owner want to do this? Some of them have lived on the land for a long time, and
well, the estate
have
tax,
grown to love it. I'm sorry?
The estate tax is going to change in about a year. This year you're going to be fine. If you die this year, there's no estate tax. But coming in 2011, it might revert to that $650 or who knows what. They may make it $1 million. So if you're worth $5 million, you might want to lighten up on what you have.
That's an excellent point, John. That's a moving target, and but there are also property taxes and federal income tax that get into the equation.
Right.
So there are individuals, families that have lived on the land for many years and really want to see it protected. And one of the things we do is advise landowners, individuals, families, and businesses on alternative strategies for protecting land, for conserving land.
Do you have certain lawyers that you work with, or do you usually work with their own professional people?
Yeah, we do have an attorney that does our work, but when we're working with a landowner, and we're always working with a number of different landowners, we're very proactive in contacting landowners, and we've just gone through a process of identifying some of the parcels in Danbury that are most desirable for conservation. But we always advise a landowner to consult with their own attorney and financial planner, because our attorney represents us, and they need some people to represent them.
Is there a particular characteristic that land needs to have, or will you, like down here in this part of the map that we identified before, even consider 2 acres or something? Because we're mentioning several times, we mentioned 50 acres, 25 acres. I know you're looking for the larger parcels. But if someone says, geez, nobody really wants it, we'd like to conserve it as it is, there's a house in the front, but it'd be nice just to, it might be 2 acres of land or 3 acres of land.
Or do you Cheryl answer that?
Or do you throw that?
She's the co-chair of the Land Management Committee.
Or do you throw that fish back in?
No, I mean, I would encourage anyone anyone who thinks they might like to conserve a piece of property to contact us. You mentioned the area on the Reading border.
Yeah.
What we're looking for is contiguous pieces of property, but you can build a really nice contiguous stretch of property by cobbling together 2 acres here and 1 acre there and so forth and so on. So particularly where we already have existing property, we would love to be able to add, 1 acre or 2 or 3 or more on in those areas. So that is highly desirable, and some small pieces of property, even independently of themselves, have value as either because of habitat or because of their ability to have wetlands on them. So even though they may be independent, they may be valuable in and of themselves. The most desirable, however, is to take those small pieces and hope that they can become contiguous to the larger pieces and then keep tacking them on from there. So by all means.
It's easier to handle as a mass if you have them all together.
It's easier to handle them, and it provides more benefit in the ways that Bill had mentioned previously, either to put on trails where people can enjoy it as a hiking experience or passive recreation experience, and for wildlife to really ensure sort of a nice habitat area for whatever the animals may be in the area. So the larger the landmass, the better it is environmentally.
Right. So if you have something like this and you put a trail, is there a tax on any of this land once it's in the trust, or because you're trying to preserve it, there isn't any tax, right?
We are tax exempt, John. And you know how the grand list works in Danbury a lot better than I do, and so sometimes when we get a donation, for example, the donor should pick up the taxes, but sometimes there's a residual that we pick up. But the short answer is we're tax exempt.
Tax exempt. Once it's definitely in your hands and you've gotten over that in-between transition period, then you don't pay tax. That comes off the... And that goes a long way in developing, let's say, another trail across the middle here, where I see there's 4 properties, but there's a distance in between. So it's possible you can have a second trail as opposed to what you have down below here. Right. So I guess anybody living in the Reading area of the city would be a candidate, as long as they're in proximity to those roads, Long Ridge Road in that area. And you got a couple of properties here, I guess not too far. Is that the Danbury Fair Mall area?
Those are fairly small properties.
Okay.
One is off of Old Mill Plain Road.
Right.
And or Old Mill Road, I'm sorry, Oil Mill Road.
Oil Mill Road.
And the other is Oeata Place. So they're fairly small parcels.
Well, they're giving me the high sign there. Believe it or not, we're out of time.
Okay. It's been great fun, John. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to the Community Forum. Tune in next week, same time, same station. I'm sure we'll have another interesting program. Good night for now, and we'll see you then.
Great. You can keep talking.
Okay.